I'm going to say this for the last time. As a courtesy to your fellow media members as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask questions during this press conference. I'm recording a press conference on cell phones is prohibited. And if you're joining us on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and take questions from Zoom as time permits.
No, we'll wait for him. We'll wait for him.
You're in no hurry.
I'm in no hurry.
No hurry.
We're waiting on Jordan.
They like to do that.
It smelled like a bad college dorm last year after their win last year. There he goes. Oh, I'll lose you now. Oops. Okay, Jay, give us an overview, please.
Yeah, I don't know where to start, so I'll do the best I can with this. National championship team, I think the most gratifying part of it is they were national championship people every single day of this thing. And, kind of feels like a two-year win, if that makes sense. I think about meeting with Cade right when I got the job and said, hey, we're gonna go to work and change a lot of things, and just his coachability, amazing. Dylan is the best player in college baseball history, in my opinion, and just so thankful. And frankly, it was a big reason that I accepted the job. I would have looked at LSU anyways, but knowing that I was going to have a once-in-a-lifetime player on my team for 2 years was a big deal to do that. And I think about Thatcher. I told him, when he said yes, that he was going to come to LSU. I said, hey, big guy, you might be the most important recruit of my entire career, because I knew what the other three on the stage were going to do. But to win a national championship and get through the NCAA tournament, we needed real aces, and that's an ace right there, and one of the best pitchers in the country. And so it's kind of cool to feel that full circle. And I don't know that I'll ever have children. Like, Jordan is close to what I would consider like a son as anybody. And I'm so proud of him. I think Dylan and Jordan are the only two players that have started every single game for the last 2 years. And what a championship performance, heartbeat of our team. And I'm so proud of them. But that kind of gives you some insight, into it. Some other thoughts. I really believe this will go down as one of the best teams in college baseball history. So consistent in the regular season. I think the SEC tournament is the only week of the year we had a losing record. If you think about that. Not one losing week for an entire regular season, 11 wins in the postseason, 6 of them against SEC teams. And I really believe we played and beat every team, the best team that we could have played along the way throughout the entire tournament at that spot. So I love these guys. I'm so proud of them. And they are a worthy champion if there ever was a worthy champion.
Okay, let's open it up for questions for the student athletes, and we'll start with Leah.
Leah Van, Baton Rouge Advocate. Dylan, you told me at the beginning of the season that you wanted to leave LSU a legend, bring home a national championship, win the Golden Spikes Award. You just did all of those things. So what does it feel like to accomplish the things you set out to do?
Yeah, man, it's such a great feeling. I felt like almost every box was checked off except that national championship box. And we all knew this was going to be our last game here. And, to finally say that I'm a national champion, it's the greatest feeling in the world. And, I feel like all the boxes are checked off now, so it's good.
Okay. Back here with Michael.
Michael Farrar with Berg Sports Network. For all three athletes, could you guys kind of talk about what was going through your mind when the final out was out and the dog pile and the celebration?
There are 4 up here, you know.
Or 4, I'm sorry.
You're talking about him, right?
Jordan, you start.
I'm short, I can't see.
Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I got the first 2 ground balls of the inning, and after I got that second out, I kind of looked at Gavin and, almost started tearing up, but knowing that we have to get one more out, I wanted that last ball too. But, I just can't be more proud of my guys in the way that we've came out all year and just competed and fought through adversity. When guys went down, guys stepped up. That just speaks about the character about our team and the way that, we just handle our business and own our deal every single day. So, it is very rewarding for what we were able to accomplish, not only tonight, but the whole season.
Thatcher.
Yeah, I mean, that is the greatest feeling in the world. And, it's being a national champion, but it's with who we did it with, every single guy right here and every guy in that locker room. It means everything.
Dylan.
Yeah, man. I think we were all fighting for that last out. The greatest feeling in the world. We've had some tough days, in the fall, long days, just grinding it out. We call it 2 days where we literally sleep at the field and train twice a day. And looking back, I wouldn't trade anything for those moments right there, because this is where we're at now. This is the reason why we did all that stuff, and it's just a great feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a different perspective, being in the dugout on that last out, but, just hearing the crowd, finally starting to realize what's happening, and you're looking over in the dugout and you're seeing so many smiling faces, and I'm holding Sammy Dutton in my arm, and he's just so happy, and, watching that last strikeout is just, you can't put a price tag, you can't put any, feelings, words into that. Like, it's so exciting, and, it's so, the sense of, gratification, that's awesome, and, it's everything we work for.
Let's go here with Aaron.
Aaron Fitt, D1 Baseball. Cade, you said the other day that you grew up wanting to be Mikey Matuk and Ryan Schimpf and Jared Mitchell. What does it make you feel to realize that now kids are going to be growing up wanting to be Cade Beloso?
That's pretty cool. I'd want to be like this guy to the left of me, these 2 guys. But, set a goal and achieve it. We have a saying around here, don't dream, because if you dream about it, it seems almost unreachable. But set a goal and reach it, and, the sky's the limit. And, it feels really good to be Mikey Matuk and, Jared Mitchell, Ryan Schiff, Sean Ochenko now. That's something that no one can take away from us being national champions.
Koki.
Dylan, were you the one who started the ring gesture, and was that an idea you sort of had heading into this game if you guys were up ahead, or what was the deal there?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it for sure. I saw Joey B do it and Reese do it, so I thought I had a good moment to do it right there in the 8th inning, and did it, and then I think Tommy did it and Trey. So it's gonna be a good picture. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Okay, we got Wilson here.
For Cade, Jay's saying that he had a meeting with you and things are going to change. How did this program change over the last 2 years? Like, in what ways?
This guy he loves baseball so much, and there's not a person in the room that cares more about LSU, cares more about the game of baseball, more about people than this guy sitting to the right of me. And this program's so lucky to have Coach Shea Johnson, and they're gonna have to build a new intimidator for what he's about to do, and he's coming. He's not stopping. I promise that. But it's just the culture changed, and we don't really like to throw around the word culture, but we're a group of hardworking guys that are never going to stop, and always going to just keep playing, through good things, bad things, etc. I think that's what changed the most.
Okay, we'll go here with Lee.
Thatcher, the offense put up a couple of big innings early on in the game when you were out there. How did that help you calm down?
Yeah, when the offense is producing like that, my job is to get them back in the dugout as quick as possible, and that feels suffocating for the other team. So just kind of telling myself, don't give them an inch. That's what I was telling myself throughout the whole outing. Get us back, let them do their thing.
Glenn.
This can be for all 4 players. Just when you guys are looking at this thing 20 years from now, I know you might not be able to put it into full perspective, but just what do you think this 2023 team is going to mean to you guys?
Cade, you start.
It's going to be the world. It's going to mean the world to me. To leave LSU a national champion is something I remember for the rest of my life. And I'm going to remember playing with this guy and the two next to me. And it's just going to be every time we see each other, you're going to remember the national championship. You remember, hugging at the end. You're not going to remember what happened in each game along the way. Like, this guy got a hit, this guy punched him out. It's just, man, we really enjoyed being around each other every day. And, I'm kind of sad that the season's over in a sense. Like, we just won the national championship, but, I'm sad we're not going to be able to practice and play anymore and stuff like that. But, man, I'm looking forward to those reunions for sure.
Dylan.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun reunion for sure. It was a struggle of mine, as a young kid to kind of be where my feet are. I was always looking ahead, into the future. But when I stepped in the locker room this year and saw all the talent and all the group of guys that we had, I thought it was, my last year, it's so important for me to be where my feet are, enjoy these moments, and to go out on top, a national champion, and to cap off my career and it's just it's an unbelievable feeling.
Thatcher.
The talent really, speaks for itself, but the leadership and the chemistry in the clubhouse, I'll forever cherish that. And that's the blueprint for a winning team. The things, Cade Beloso, Gavin Dugas, Hayden Travinsky, veteran leaders were able to do for us. Take, as a transfer, I didn't know anyone coming in, take me under the wing right away. Dylan leading by example, Jordan taking charge in the infield, Paul Skeens leading the staff. That type of leadership is really special, and I'll cherish that. And I've grown so much by playing with these three, playing for Coach and Paul, and the list goes on. It's really special.
Jordan.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to probably remember us because of this national championship, and I think for me, the greatest honor that I've had being at LSU and playing shortstop here for 3 years is, being able to go to battle with these guys every single day, practice, workouts, early mornings, days where you're tired but nobody cares. And, those are things that you can't trade for the world. And, I just can't be more blessed and grateful for the opportunity that we all had to be together and to be able to share this moment. It's something that I'll always remember.
Leah.
Jordan, you had kind of struggled a little bit in this tournament, and then you had a big day at the plate today. Coach was saying how you were going to be a great story. So what was kind of your mindset going into today, and did you kind of feel the crowd rooting for you?
Yeah, I did hear them. I thought that was pretty cool. And I think coming into the day, we all knew that, this was going to be the last game of the season, no matter if we won or lost. And, we just really wanted to leave it all on the line and, not give an inch. So I think not only for myself, but everyone just came out here ready to go. I mean, from the moment that we all woke up and saw each other in the morning when we had our team meeting, like we knew what we wanted to do today, and we knew what it was going to take for us to be able to accomplish it. So, I just can't be prouder of my guys.
Okay.
For all the players, was there sort of a meeting before today or a message before today, just heading into this being the last game, the deciding national championship game?
Jordan, you start.
Yeah, I mean, kind of just what I said. I mean, we all knew that this was going to be the last game of the season. We just wanted to leave it all on the line. I mean, Thatcher going out there and being able to give us everything that he had for 6 or 7 innings, whatever it was. I mean, that was freaking huge. Cade and Dylan being able to do what they do not only today but all year. I mean, those are things that I'm going to remember. But I don't even know what else to say, man. It's just an unexplainable feeling, and I wouldn't want to do it with a different group of guys. I mean, these guys are my brothers, and I love every single one of them.
Thatcher.
I mean, can't say much better than that. That's our last game as the 2023 Tigers, so we didn't have to get ourselves amped up. We knew what we were playing for, and we played for that, played for each other.
Dylan.
We didn't really have a meeting. I think we all just knew, really. We got punched in the mouth yesterday, but that's the beauty of baseball. You get to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. So as soon as the game was over, everybody already forgot about it, and we woke up today and you could just see on everybody's faces they were ready to go, and there was nobody in the country, in the world that was going to beat us today.
Cade?
Yeah, exactly what Dylan said. I don't even think we had a team meeting last night, which is super rare for us. It was just like, hey, let's go get some sleep. Forget about this one as quick as possible. And the message in today's meeting before the game was, one game, game 71 for the national championship. Are you in? And that was pretty much it. And I'm pretty sure you just walked away, and we were all like, yeah, let's go. So, I mean, you can't let baseball get to you. The game's brutal sometimes, and you get punched in the face, and, just got to show up and play the next day. I think we did a great job with that today.
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn Stamp, Sports Illustrated Kids. Dylan, instead of being drafted out of high school, you chose to go to LSU. After what you've experienced at LSU and here in Omaha, what advice do you have to any high schoolers who are deciding whether to be drafted now or go to college first?
Yeah, man, it was a tough decision out of high school. I was an 18-year-old kid. Didn't know what to expect for the future. There was a lot of if you go to school, it was like a bad thing or something like that. So to make that decision as a young kid like that and to be able to go to school, I mean, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to school and I wanted to experience this and bring a national championship to LSU. So if I had to give any advice, really, it's just, go to school, really, experience this, don't miss out on these 3 years. Just develop as a player physically and mentally for the next level, and everything will take care of itself.
Okay, any more questions for the student athletes? If not, guys, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Take your cards. Yes, sir.
There we go. Put the chair.
Yes.
Chairs good?
No.
Not the chairs.
Hey, Thatcher, grab those for all the guys right there.
We'll get it.
Grab those for
to
all
Bill or
the
who. Okay, questions for Jay. Wilson.
Jay Wilson, the Advocate. Congratulations, first of all. Second, you came into this game, it looked like Paul Skeens might go at any time. At what point did you know that you were going to be able to win a 3-game series without him even throwing a pitch?
The 3 in the 8th, when we scored 3 in the 8th, I felt like, the wind was out of their sails, and you could kind of see the pressing and some of their at-bats was taking them out of their plan, and we were able to just keep piling up quick outs. Like, after 3, I didn't think we would get Thatcher through 6, but we started to separate there and made it 10-2, and then he got a couple quick innings. That made a huge difference. I mean, Riley had 1 inning in him, and at a 10-2 lead right there, I felt like we could get a quick 7th, and then it's Gavin, and then Paul's begging me to pitch the 9th, and I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, if they get within 5, we'll get you up and throwing. But it's not coach speak or anything. Like, we really go through these assessments with them in terms of his hips, his back, his lower half, all of those things. So his body is a great delivery. He needed to be able to stay in his delivery. So we had to test all of those stuff, obviously, test his arm. And then we felt like if we needed him, we would have had him for 30 pitches tonight. Then it became a decision of when do you use those 30 pitches? And I felt like we would have given Florida a shot in the arm had I started him, thrown 2 innings, and then taken him out of the game. And I didn't want to do that. And I felt like, with a 3-run lead in the 8th, and they see him trot out there, the psychological help that would have been for our team would have been enough to finish a close game.
Yep. Okay, right there.
Jacques Doucet, WAFB-TV in Baton Rouge. Coach, you shared a very special moment with Jordan Thompson after the game, and I guess the last 24 hours and what he's been through, and to have the game he had tonight. Just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, see, we go way back. I mean, way back before any of this LSU stuff. When he was a 15-year-old kid, I was trying to recruit him to Arizona as a pitcher. I mean, and I remember walking him by at a tournament. He had just picked LSU over Arizona, and he just looked and he kind of went go like this, and I shake my head and I said, "I'm still mad at you. I'm still mad at you." It's a great family. Cole Holland is high school coach at Helix High School, is a good friend of mine as well, and So, I mean, there's a lot of history there before me taking the job. As I mentioned with Dylan, knowing Jordan was here for at least a couple years, that was an appeal to it. Then last year, I mean, the guy got so many big hits, but he made so many errors at the beginning of the season. Nobody paid any attention to how important a player he was for our team. And it pissed me off a little bit, to be honest with you. Like, it pissed me off, frankly, because we wouldn't have even been in a regional last year if it wasn't for Jordan Thompson. And then we went to work. I mean, every day, August 21st on, like the first day of school, we had skill instruction with infield defense. And I'm really proud of the season that he had. And he had a tough tournament until tonight. I mean, he got way outside of himself at the plate. And but there was no way we were going to take the defense out because the defense had been so good. And then he made 2 errors yesterday, and they were really simple. I mean, he came out of his fundamentals on the double play ball by trying to do too much, and then he tried to do too much and get the guy at third base. And so if you just identify them for what they are and then coach them through it, I mean, there was never any thought of taking them out. And in the last 24 hours, like just kind of, my wife's asking me, "Is Jordan okay?" and this and that, and not really knowing all of it. And so I just brought him into my room this morning and I go like, "Hey man, like, we're winning the national championship tonight, and you're going to do something special. But is there anything I can do to help you get to that point tonight?" And he looked me in the eye and said, "I'm good." And I saw tonight happen before it happened.
Okay, Leah.
Jay, this team was number 1 for 12 straight weeks. It's like not a question that they got this far, but this team had to play with its backs against the wall this entire tournament. Is there like an underdog mindset that kind of sets in, or, how do you kind of push through that?
Yeah, I don't think there was any underdog thought with this team. I think, we tried to take the number 1 thing and turn it to our advantage. I mean, everybody was asking me about pressure and expectations, and what you don't understand is it always comes back to the play, and it always comes back to the preparation, things you've heard me say a million times. Like, I don't just say that. We actually believe it. And, I get choked up when I look at Cade and just watching the tournament that he had and just thinking about where he was, where we got him. Then he got hurt, missed a season, stayed with it, had to, beg him to come back. Not beg him, but, recruit him to come back and not move on with his life. And then to have that turn, we're not the national champions without him. So those things happen, all the time. And a big thing for us as we were going through this is, great teams play near their capability often, and I talked about staying in character a lot. And again, those are not just words. That's what we had to do. And if we did that, then I could surrender the result, because I had so much confidence in what the result could be. And maybe the one time was when we lost a tough game to Wake Forest the other night. I mean, I thought they looked a little down. And so, I grabbed them and just, tried to rally them. And then before we left, it's like, hey, we're not asking you to do something that hasn't been done here. I've coached a team that's done it, okay? And LSU has done it before. So, and neither of those teams were as good as this team. Now, we had a tall order when you're looking at Drew Beam in Tennessee, and then 2 games against Wake Forest and Rhett Lauder, that's impressive. This NCAA, the national championship means more because of who we beat to win the national championship.
Okay, Koki.
Coach, what do you remember about the process of putting this team together this past offseason, and what were those sort of hours and days like, and what was going through your head through the whole time?
Yeah, I think we looked at last year's team, and I'm really proud of, part of me will feel like this national championship is for 2022 also. We really had to dig our heels in. I mean, in the SEC, it happens fast. But it was a 9th place team. It was a 9th place team in 2021 in the SEC. And, we worked really, I knew there were some good young players, obviously. And we worked really hard to develop those guys. But we just didn't have enough on the mound. Guys had been hurt. I think it was Marceau and Jaden Hill were moving on in the draft. We didn't have a rotation. Thank God Mikhail Hilliard came back to school and flipped, 70-mile-an-hour curveballs in there, and we were able to win enough games to, have a 40-win season. But I just didn't want to be in that position, again, and felt like the pieces were here. With the position player group was a national championship team last year. I mean, it's very similar, to be honest with you. But we had to get better on the mound, and we did. And I think back of, the week the College World Series started last year. I flew to Colorado Springs and met with Paul. I flew from there to California and met with Thatcher. I flew from there to Missouri and met with Christian. And I flew from there to Tampa to meet with Tommy. The next week, they all came on campus, except for Paul. We had to wait for Team USA to be over, so called Paul every day of the summer. And then we got him on board. And, knowing that we were pairing all of those guys with the strides that some of these guys had made in 1 year's time, we felt pretty good about what this was going to be, and they were very humble about it too. This league's a beast, and so to beat Kentucky in a super regional, to beat Tennessee twice here, to beat Florida to win a national championship, that's really meaningful, because it's one thing to have the best writers in the country write about you how great you are. It's another thing, entirely different thing, to go do it on the field.
Yeah.
Glenn West, Go 247. Jay, this core that you guys are going to be losing, obviously, after this year, you just talk about what it means, I guess, for the future of the program to kind of have some of these guys that have meant so much and kind of developed a legacy here for what you want to build going forward.
Yeah, I think it's coaching, and I think looking at the past few College World Series champions. And just looking at this tournament, there's two things, and I said this the other day. You can't be here anymore without future Major League players on your roster. It's not happening. I mean, I don't know a ton about Oral Roberts because they were on the other side of the bracket. I'm sure there's a couple big leaguers on that team. And then you have to have old players that really know what they're doing. I think I'm excited about the young players that got exposed to this. And, hey, man, Jared Jones, he's a big reason we're here. That's a borderline freshman All-American. Paxton Kling's a superstar. I mean, in the making. Thatcher Hurd. I mean, every guy that pitched tonight might be back next year. The weight game. All those guys might be back next year. And we got some work to do. And hopefully the time lost, on the road. That's about as good as endorsement as you can come up with of what took place over here the last 2 weeks.
Okay, Jock.
Coach, I had a chance to visit with your dad on the field a while ago. He was great. Said that you told him when you were 5 that you were going to be a baseball coach. What's it like to share this experience with him here? And then he brought up the kind of 7-year journey from you making it to the championship at Arizona to today, and how difficult that was the first time.
Yeah, wow. Might see me crack here. Because I got started on this coaching journey really early. It's at the high school level, but I grew up in the house of a legend. He's the winningest track coach in California history. He didn't lose for 10 years. And he was a great football coach and offensive coordinator. And, my heroes were his running backs. You know what I mean? And that's all I wanted to be. And that part in itself is something enough. But I'm sat next to Bill 7 years ago today with leaving the tying run on third base in this game and the winning run on second base. And I think about that every single day. And this championship's for this team, and it's about this team. But personally, part of me feels like I got a little bit of that back tonight for those guys. And they texted. We have a group text of that 2016 team. And Friday morning on the off day, I just walked around the stadium, and one of them texted me on there. And I said, hey, when we get this done, that's partly going to be for you guys.
Michael.
For our Sports Network. Coach, kind of a little bit of feed off his question. Coaches always have support. What would you like to say to your support and your staff?
Wow. This is a special place. This is a really special place. And, Scott's there in the back. I think he's the best athletic director in the country. I'm obviously very grateful for him giving me this opportunity. It's roll the dice, man. The West out here has not worked out. It hadn't worked out, and I actually called a couple guys that tried to do it just to avoid, some of the pitfalls, and got some great information from them. But they really, I think they took a chance. And if you look at it in the big picture, but I know what our process is, And so for him, Stephanie Remp, who's no longer with us, Dan Gaston's in the back, sports supervisor, Verge Osbury. I sat in front of them and, wanted this worse than anything in the world and believed that I could do it with this group. And they gave me the chance. And so I'm grateful for that. But that's not where it stops. It's every single day. What baseball coach's athletic director calls them 2 or 3 times a week? Everything good. And Dan's in my office every single day. What do you need? How can we make this process that you're trying to develop the best that it possibly can be? And then, I'm just going to go for a second here. There's a lot of people that made this happen tonight. Wes Johnson is a special coach. He is a special coach. And I'm not worried about replacing the pitching coach. I'm worried about replacing the person. That's going to be the difficulty because he's such a great person. Josh Jordan, coming over here from Duke, he's an insane worker. I can't beat him into the office and all I do is work. It's amazing. He's done a great job for us. Mark Wanaka, we've been together for 25 years now. And the only coach that's been on my staff at every step along the way. And very, very, you can't do it any better than he does it and doesn't get near the credit. Dan Fitzgerald, now the head coach at Kansas. We got to work right when we got here. We got to work, and he busted his rear end to help put some of this team together. We don't get Nate Ackenhausen without Dan Fitzgerald. Jason Kelly last year, we did a lot with a little on the mound, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. He's now the head coach at the University of Washington. Coach Maneri, I mentioned earlier on the field, making a transition as easy as it possibly could be. Spending time with him. Nolan Kane, recruited Dylan Cruz. That's a massive hat tip. Right there. Alan Dunn. Those guys it's pretty awesome. To look back at that and the GOAT himself, Skip Bertman. We're either in person or on the phone 3 to 4 times a week. And I'm sure I'm leaving some people out, but a lot of people contributed to this, and it makes it even that much more special.
Okay, we'll go back over here first.
Zach Ewing from The Advocate. This is probably a related question. At most schools, winning a national championship is like a fan's once in a lifetime. At LSU, 14 years is like forever from what Skip built. Did you feel that pressure when you walk in, and maybe it's why you took the job? Did you embrace seeing those 6 national titles and wanting to add one?
I don't ever really think about it because that would distract me from doing what it takes to accomplish it. And I know that sounds super weird, but I'm not a normal dude in that regard. Like I said, sitting here next to Bill 7 years ago was literally one of the most painful moments of my entire life. And I wanted to win a national championship, and I wanted these guys to win a national championship. I wanted last year's team to come to Omaha because nobody in the program had been to Omaha. Nobody in the other than the transfers that we had brought in. And so, just taking a second out there and looking at Dylan, and looking at Trey, and looking at Jordan, and looking at Ty Floyd. We had to win game 1. Obviously, everybody saw what happened yesterday. We were mapping out the series. We have to win Saturday night. We had to win that game to have a chance to win the national championship. We knew that going into it, and the performance he gave. I want it for everybody. It's a great state. It's a lot like where I grew up. I would want it for LSU. I know all that legacy and tradition. I'm so honored, to be a part of that. I really wanted it for these guys because they've done everything that I've asked them to do and set the standard better than you could possibly do. And that's why this is important. Not just because we're national championships, because we've been national champions every day of this thing.
Okay, Jacques.
Coach Alex Milazzo said he was taught to play the game one way, hard. And I don't know if there's one play that sums up your team, but him scoring from first and breaking a bone in his foot or whatever happened there. Can you talk about that play and just the player he is?
How about the at-bats he gave us all year long? I remember looking at that stat line in 21 when I took the job, and I had fans sending me emails right when I got there. It's get rid of Milazzo. He can't hit. He's terrible. He's the worst hitter I've ever seen. Should be a Division I baseball player. I looked up at the board tonight. I'm pretty sure he hit over 290. and he's one of the best defensive catchers in college baseball. And more importantly than that, and that's all throughout this team, whatever we needed him to do when we needed to do it, he did it. And it wasn't like, I need more playing time, I need this. He was just ready the whole way. And wasn't the starter. And 4 years into your career, when a freshman beats you out, to be able to stay with it, be a great teammate, be ready to make your contribution, quadruple your production from an offensive standpoint, have every pitcher want to throw to you. Like, there's a good chance he'll be on our coaching staff someday. That would not surprise me. I always say in practice sometimes when we're doing like a trick play or something, like Milazzo, when you're the head coach at Zachary High School, you'll be able to do this with your team. I mean, he's special. He's all LSU. And I was thinking in the ninth inning, they're like, wait, this is going to happen. It's like somebody's got to pick him up and throw him on top of the dog pile with a broken foot.
Okay, I guess that's it. I don't want to put you through any more pain sitting here, so.
Oh, no, we can stay here all night on this one.
I'm going to ask about the 18 runners left on base.
Oh. Yeah, okay. So I'll give you some insight now. Like, I didn't want to tip our, struggles because, we had to stay with the team. But today we had 9 really good at-bats here with runners in scoring position. So we played them on loop. And they were short swings, low line drives to the middle of the infield of guys not trying to do too much. So behind the scenes, that's where we were trying to get to. But there's a real part of this thing where, we just faced as good a pitching as you could for 6 of these 8 games, and they made it hard. So, yeah, they did a nice job of it tonight. That's how I'll remember this team with runners in scoring position, is this 18-4 win in the national championship game.
Thank you, Jay.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
See you. Good to see you.